What's going on, guys? ACP here with another cool Marvel Snap deck. I just made Infinite with this deck in this season, just before the January 31st patch dropped. And this is the deck that I've been playing. It's really just a Zabu Surfer deck. It's mostly just a Silver Surfer deck that has Zabu in it, right? We've got 5 3-cost cards, only 3 4-cost cards. But this deck is really good. I personally, my playstyle in Marvel Snap is I kind of like playing these combo decks that have a really big turn 6. And that is exactly what this deck does, I think. And it was a long grind. It was harder to get Infinite this season than last season. I feel like people have gotten better. But, you know, right when this season came out, I was like, Zabu is absolutely bonkers. I'm going to figure out a really good deck to play with this, and there are a ton of options, right? I mean, pretty much like every top tier deck right now has Zabu in it, so it seems, because it really is ridiculous. I mean, even just reducing the cost on 1 4-drop is already decent value, but once you start playing 2 or 3, or, you know, 4 or 5 discounted 4-drops, then it just becomes ridiculous. So I knew I wanted to play a deck with this right away. I also, in general, like combos with, like, Wong and Absorbing Man. I'd played some on-reveal decks in Marvel Snap in the past, and I'd kind of recognized before, I hadn't really played much Silver Surfer in the prior seasons, but I kind of noticed, like, hey, Surfer could be really good with, like, Wong and Absorbing Man. However, the catch is that, you know, on turn 6, you're not going to be able to play both, right? Normally speaking, on the last turn of the game, you can't go Wong and Surfer. You can't go Surfer and Absorbing Man. You have to, you know, you could play Wong on turn 4 and play Surfer on turn 6. You could do that. You could play Surfer on 5, Absorbing Man on 6. You could do that, but there's not really a way to get that big explosive playoff on turn 6 where you get like a bunch of Surfer pumps. However, with Zabu making Wong a 2-cost and making Absorbing Man also a 2-cost, all of a sudden you can do those plays. And in particular, you know, if you play Zabu on, you know, say 3, you play Sarah on 5, on the last turn of the game, like, you can just flood the board, right? Like, the big play at the end is you can go Wong for 1, you can go Maximus for 2, and then go Surfer for 2, and then Absorbing Man for 1. So that's 4 cards for 6 energy, and that just, like, your opponent's just not going to see it coming. Like, it's very hard for them to figure out where your points are going, and unless they have, like, some sort of big counter, like Cosmo, you know, if they have Cosmo with priority, they could do that to sort of stop your play. But pretty much other than that, like, you're just going to win. You know, if you're getting off, like, 3 Surfer pumps on the last turn, like, that's just going to be an absolute ton of damage. So I've been loving this deck a lot. Some of these cards are, you know, core cards. Others are kind of more flex choices. I'll explain some of the different options that I had been trying and why I like these. So the core cards are Silver Surfer, obviously, Zabu, obviously, and, you know, Wong, Absorbing Man, Brood, and, you know, Maximus just for value. And those are kind of like all the cards that you sort of have to play, right? That's about half the cards. Some of the other cards are just curve fillers. I wanted something to play on turn 2, so I've got 2. We've got Forge and we've got Daredevil. And most Surfer decks don't play either of these. Most Surfer decks seem to play Scorpion. I mean, I think Scorpion is a good card. It can especially be good in the Surfer Mirror. You know, hope you hit Brood. But I like these 2 cards better. And so here's the reason why. Forge, it has the obvious synergy with Brood, right? You play Forge with Brood. That essentially means that Forge was a 2/7, right? Because, you know, 1 plus 6 more. Also, keep in mind, you know, I do this a fair bit, actually. Forge combos with Wong. You know, this isn't a deck that has a ton of things that combo with Wong, but the more the better. So sometimes what I'll do is I'll play Zabu on 3, and then go Wong, Forge on 4 for our 4 energy. And then on turn 5, you know, we do whatever we're going to do, right? Just depends on what the situation is. So, yeah, that's pretty cool. You know, we got 2 synergies here. We got Forge Wong, and we got Forge Brood. So not too bad. And it gives us something to play on turn 2. Daredevil I like a lot, actually. That might not seem like an obvious choice in this deck. I think, like, low-key, Daredevil is one of the best cards in Marvel Snap. Arguably the best 2-drop in Marvel Snap, if you have, like, any kind of synergy with it at all. And we do have some synergy. We basically opted for the Daredevil Spider-Man combo. So, you know, Daredevil, love to play that guy on turn 2. You know, play Zabu on turn 3 or 4. And then we just, you know, on turn 5, we're going to see what they're playing with Daredevil. And we can Spider-Man them. We can even Spider-Man Absorbing Man. So, yeah, the kind of the reason that I decided to go with Spider-Man is because we want to be playing Absorbing Man anyways, right? We're going to be playing that no matter what. So we might as well just go for the Wombo combo and just have Spider-Man in there too. So for those who don't know, the combo is with Zabu in play, you can play Spider-Man and Absorbing Man in the same turn, lock down 2 locations. That almost always just causes an insta retreat. I will say, though, I've been surprised how little people retreat on turn 5 with Daredevil. Like, they'll do their plays, I'll snap on turn 5, and I think a lot of times they just think I'm bluffing or something. Like, maybe we haven't really done a lot. Maybe we went, like, turn 2 Daredevil, turn 3 Zabu, and, you know, whatever, maybe a Brood or something. And they're like, oh, that doesn't seem that scary. He's snapping, so what? And then, you know, we just go, oh, I'm gonna Spider-Man Absorbing Man you. And then, okay, they retreat, and then you win their 2 cubes. But picking up 2 cubes here and there definitely helps on the climb to infinite, I found. Like, once you get to the higher ranks, you don't have as many people that are just gonna give you 8 cubes, right? It'll happen, but it's extremely rare. So, like, a lot of the grind in, like, the 90s, it's not about, like, winning 8 cubers. It's about, like, picking up 2 cubers here and there. So this deck can be pretty good at that sometimes. The other thing that I just want to mention about Daredevil is, first of all, it gains you cubes, it saves you cubes, right? You see their turn 5, so you know, okay, I've seen their turn 5, I'm going to win no matter what, time to snap. Or sometimes your opponent will snap on turn 5, you see what they're doing with Daredevil, and you're just like, oh, well, I can't beat that, so I'm just going to retreat and only lose 1 cube. So it gains you cubes, it saves you cubes. It also can lead to some, like, interesting plays that, like, normally you would just never do, but because you saw their turn 5 on Daredevil, all of a sudden you're going to do a completely different play. The easy example is Daredevil versus Leech. So oftentimes I have games where, you know, Leech destroys combo decks. Anyone who's played Marvel Snap knows that. Leech, definitely a very good card versus our deck. But sometimes what happens is, I'll have Daredevil in play, they'll go for Leech on turn 5, and I go, well, I have Surfer in my hand, so instead of playing the Surfer on 6, I'm just going to play the Surfer on 5, right? Pump all my guys, and then still be able to win just because they've only added 3 power to their board. You know, I've added a bunch, right? Maybe I played like a Brood on turn 3, a Zabu on turn 4, and then, okay, we're going to play Surfer on 5. And, yeah, sometimes, believe it or not, they go Leech, I have Zabu in play, and I go Surfer, Absorbing Man on turn 5, and just go, yeah, nice Leech, buddy. I'm getting 2 Surfer pumps. So that's pretty cool. I just really like Daredevil. That is just one of my favorite cards in Marvel Snap. It doesn't necessarily have, like, huge synergy with this deck, but it definitely has enough to make it worth it. Sarah, we kind of already talked about. I don't think this card is, like, necessarily as insane as everyone thinks it is, but it is, like, a solid card. It definitely lets you get those explosive turn 6s that can just put your opponent in a tough spot because they know you're going to play a bunch of stuff on turn 6. They don't know where, they don't know what. They're just kind of left guessing, whereas you have, obviously, you know what you're going to play. So it kind of puts yourself in that kind of information asymmetry kind of game state where you have a lot more information than your opponent does going into the last turn, and that's just going to allow you to win more cubes. And last but not least, America Chavez. I actually didn't always have this in the deck. I think sometimes it's hard to tell if a deck is, you know, if America Chavez is right in a deck or not. I will say, though, it does take some variables out of the game in the sense that, like, if your opponent, like, snaps on turn 5, you're like, oh, I don't know what I'm going to draw on turn 6, right? But here you just always know, like, you're not left guessing, right? Again, that's kind of one last turn where you have more information than your opponent. And of course, America Chavez, it's not really a good card. It's not a card where you're thrilled about drawing on turn 6. It's pretty rare that we play it, although it does happen on occasion. But the main reason that we're playing it is because it helps us curve out better. So we want to have one of our 2-drops on turn 2, ideally. You know, Daredevil's usually what we want to play on 2. And then on 3, we want to have either a Brood or a Zabu. We want to have one of those 2 cards on turn 3. And Chavez does sort of increase your consistency in that regard. Yeah, it does mean that on turn 6, you won't be top decking a Silver Surfer to win the game. So it actually, the math works out in such a way that you're slightly less likely to have Surfer overall, but you're more likely to have Zabu Brood, you're more likely to have a 2-drop. You're more likely to have the Wombo combo of Zabu, Spider-Man, Absorbing Man on 5. You're more likely to have Sarah on 5, and so on and so forth. So I did find that it increased the consistency of the deck a little. I think it's worth it, although I do think you could try other options. Another thing that I want to mention before I talk about alternative choices. So Absorbing Man, great with you know, Spider-Man, obviously. Great with Silver Surfer. The main reason we're playing it is to get an extra Surfer copy. However, I also want to note, it's actually just really good with Brood. Like, in the games where you don't have Zabu, kind of your next best line, other than, like, Zabu on turn 3, is Forge on 2, Brood on 3, Absorbing Man on 4. That's, like, you've already put a ton of points on the board. And if you just, like, have a Surfer, you're just gonna win, right? If you're lucky, maybe you go Wong on 5, and then you do something like Maximus Surfer on 6. That's an option. But yeah, I just want to mention that, like, low-key Absorbing Man is kind of nuts in this deck. So the one slot that I'm not sure about, which I haven't talked about, is this last 3-drop slot. So I know I wanted some sort of 3-drop, and I've tried different ones. So I actually started off trying Ironheart because I was like, well, Ironheart is, like, pretty nutty with Wong and Absorbing Man, and, like, it is a 3-drop that can get pumped by Surfer, I guess. And yeah, it does give you, like, more ridiculous high rolls where, like, you just have, you know, Zabu and Sarah in play, and you just go, oh, I'm gonna go Wong, Ironheart, Surfer, Absorbing Man, just give everything a million pumps. But to me, that was kind of a little bit of a win more, and I kind of wanted something that I could actually play on turn 3 if I didn't have another choice. Because ideally, we don't want to play Maximus on 3, because that's going to give your opponent 2 cards. So our options are basically Zabu or Brood, and I wanted one more. So the next card that I tried out was Thor. Where's our buddy Thor? And Thor's pretty good. So it has a few things that I don't like. One is that since we're playing America Chavez, you're never going to draw the hammer on the last turn of the game, right? So if you play Thor on 3, you only have 2 turns to draw Thor's hammer. You can draw it on turn 4, or you can draw it on turn 5. So, like, a lot of the times, Thor is just going to be a 3-4. I will say, though, if you do play Thor and draw the hammer, obviously it's ridiculous with Wong. You can even copy the hammer effect with Absorbing Man if you want to. So I have done things like that, and that is an option. The other thing I don't like about Thor is that it puts an extra card in your deck, which makes Darkhawk better. And Darkhawk is arguably the best deck. I mean, it's one of the top 3 decks for sure. You'll see it a lot more at the higher ranks. So I was playing Thor, like, around the 80s, but once I got into the 90s, you know, I wanted something that would be better against Darkhawk. And yeah, adding 2 power to Darkhawk, it can add up, especially if they're copying it with Mystique or they're copying it with Moon Girl, something like that. So the other card I tried was Polaris, and Polaris is okay. It's mostly just a 3-5. Like, let's be honest. It's the text very rarely matters. If there's, like, a Fisk Tower in play, that can matter sometimes. You, like, move a Sunspot over there and kill it. Occasionally it can mess up the math, but Polaris is basically just a 3-5. So given the meta lately, I decided to go with Killmonger. And again, this is basically because of the meta. You know, most Surfer decks right now are playing one Iceman, and Surfer is very popular. So you often kill their Iceman, and that effectively makes Killmonger a 5 for 3, kind of like Polaris in a way. However, there's other situations where it's good. There's some locations that like put rocks in play, and you can kill all of those. Also, I've just noticed that in general, Sunspot is extremely popular. And the reason why, for those who are curious, the reason why Sunspot is so popular is because of Zabu. And you're probably thinking like, okay, what the hell do these two cards have to do with each other? The reason why is because Zabu can save you energy, right? Maybe you play like a Zabu on turn 3, and you only want to play one 4-cost card on turn 4. Well, that means that extra 2 energy that you saved will go into your Sunspot and make it bigger. She-Hulk is also seeing a lot of play in different decks, some Zabu decks, some Zero decks, and that sort of thing. So I just noticed, like, everyone seemed to be playing Sunspot, so I just decided to go with Killmonger. If Sunspot was less popular, then this Killmonger might be something different. You could even go with something like Groot, potentially, although it can be... Again, if you're playing Groot on 3, you often don't really know where the points are, where your opponent is playing their guy on 3. So, yeah, that is an option. I don't know. I mean, I guess you could even play something like Coulson. I mean, it kind of combos the Zabu. I don't know. Point is like, yeah, we got some like 3s that are kind of okay. It's not necessarily clear which one is the best. I also want to mention another card that I did try in this deck. This Chavez actually used to be a Moon Girl. And I figured my logic was like, well, Moon Girl can either copy Spider-Man. Like we can go Zabu on 3, Moon Girl on 4, double Spider-Man on 5. And then I figured, well, maybe we can copy Surfer, right? Play 2 Surfers on turn 6. And, like, sometimes it would work out, but I found that, like, unless there was some location that was giving me, like, a bunch of energy or making things discounted, like, the really nutty plays with, like, Moon Girl and multiple Silver Surfers, like, they didn't happen that much. It was kind of like a win more card. So that was why Moon Girl got cut for Chavez, because I'm like, yeah, Moon Girl maybe makes, like, our high roll a bit better, but Chavez makes our early game a bit better, and I kind of valued improving the consistency of our early game over getting the high roll. So now I'm gonna play a couple of games. All right, so let's get started here. This hand is not amazing. We just don't really have a lot to do in the early turns. If we get like a, well, Limbo definitely helps our deck though. Just in general, we can take advantage of the turn 7 better than most decks, and we drew Zabu. I still want to see what's going on. So Nightcrawler could be a lot of things. Oh, that's interesting. I think I'm just gonna snap. Just because we have Zabu in this location, we have Killmonger for the Nightcrawler, and we have a turn 7.
Victory.
All right, so our opponent retreated there. Probably just knew that we had the Zabu and figured he couldn't beat it. That makes sense. I mean, at these ranks, at these higher ranks, people do retreat like a lot more. They know when they're behind, you know. Gamma Lab isn't great for our deck. So yeah, if he's going Yandu. So on the plus side, we're not going to draw the Chavez. But yeah, our plan here is probably just to give up Gamma Lab, just know we're going to lose that lane, and then try to win the other 2. Mindscape actually is also a really awkward location. So So I think because there's a Mindscape in play, we have to go Brood left, try to win the Gamma Lab, and maybe try to like cheese him with Spider-Man to win another lane. I think that's our plan. But yeah, these locations just aren't particularly great for us. So yeah, Killmonger's not gonna help right now. Yeah, I think our plan is, you know, maybe we'll even draw an Absorbing Man, and then we can try to cheese him with Spider-Man Absorbing Man. Oh man, Andy has Shang-Chi. I don't know why he didn't snap. Well, he's not snapping. I don't know. I guess we'll just see what the Mindscape gives us if he doesn't snap.
Friendly neighborhood Spider-Man here.
Yeah, Death in mid is gonna be hard to beat. Yeah, that's game. All right. So yeah, kind of some awkward locations. Him having Shang-Chi for the Gamma Lab is obviously just, yeah, really good for him. So yeah, let's give it a shot here. Both those games, I don't know, weren't particularly eventful. We didn't really get to see the deck do its thing. Yeah, Hellfire Club is fine. We don't play any one-cost cards. So yeah, we're gonna play Daredevil on 2, unless we draw Brood. Then we might Forge on 2 instead. Yeah, we'll play, well, play Daredevil over here. We do have Zabu, Spider-Man, Daredevil, so we got, like, you know, 3 out of, like, the 4 crazy cards there. Having Killmonger would be really nice right now. It would actually just be so good if we had Killmonger. We can still draw it. We've got a 1 in 5 chance to draw Killmonger. Well, if we do draw Killmonger, we're not playing it right side, I guess. So I think here, I mean, we're probably going to lose mid because Sunspot's hard to beat. I think we're going to play Wong here, hope the Danger Room doesn't kill it. And then we've got the Wong Forge combo. If we draw Brood, then we have a really good turn 5. Because then we get to go Brood, Spider-Man. Don't kill it, don't kill it. All right. The Danger Room can kill Forge. Yeah, that's fine. If anything, the Danger Room killing Forge might even help us. So yeah, unfortunately, Cosmo does stop Brood on right. Polaris Colossus. Polaris has nothing to move, so I think we just go Brood left, Spider-Man mid, and that's just probably game. So yeah, we're gonna snap. And yeah, you can see like how good Daredevil is, because we just know we have him beat. Well, I mean, he's probably playing a Surf. Well, I don't know. I actually don't know what he's playing, because he's playing.
Friendly neighborhood Spider-Man here.
So yeah, this is. I don't see any way he can beat this. The only way he could beat us is by going Shang-Chi left, because we do have a priority. Is there any chance we want to like try to win right too? We could go. Let me think. Actually, if we go Maximus, that brings us to 9, and then we get 2 pumps and go to. Yeah. So.
Victory.
He retreated there, but I think the play was actually to just go Maximus right, And then Surfer mid, because then if he went Shang-Chi, but didn't have a way to add some power here, we had him. But yeah, you can kind of see how the deck works now, right? We had the Wong Forge combo, and then we also would have had the Wong Surfer combo. So that's kind of how the deck works. So we'll play one more, I think, and then I think we'll call it a day. Maybe we'll have one where we lose, and you can see that the deck loses sometimes. Yeah, this hand isn't really... I mean, it's okay. We've got Surfer. This hand gets a lot better if we draw Zabu. That's really what we need. So yeah, we'll just Daredevil, right? We don't really want to play anything on the Vibranium Mines. Okay, so now we have Zabu. We're probably just gonna go Killmonger to get rid of the Titania. I mean, we have Killmonger, we have Surf, we have... I think this is just a snap. This has to be a snap. I don't know what he's playing. Could be some sort of Zoo deck. Could be like a She-Hulk deck. Some She-Hulk decks play Titania. Some Zero decks play Titania. Zero can kind of be a tough matchup sometimes. I have a feeling this is probably some sort of like Toxicity style deck. You know, to give us Titania, you know, Hazmat, Luke Cage, Mojo, that'll get filled up. That's what I think it is, if I had to guess. So yeah, I think we're gonna go Wong Forge combo again. And then on 5, we're gonna go Killmonger Spider-Man. I don't really care where this Titania goes, because we're just gonna kill it anyways. Yeah, it does. Yeah, it does seem like a Toxicity style deck. So he could still have like a Luke Cage Hazmat thing going on last turn. So that's really what we gotta watch out for. Oh, so he's gonna Doc Ock. We don't care about the Vibranium Mines at this point, because we're just gonna, you know, we're just gonna draw, you know, we're gonna draw Chavez anyways. And then I think I'm trying to think, is there any chance we want to fill up right just so that he can't Ock our Surfer over there? I don't know. I think we do it like this. I think we go Killmonger, Spider-Man, and then hope the Ock hits our Sarah rather than the Surfer.
Friendly neighborhood Spider-Man here.
All right, and he did hit the Sarah. It's possible we still might not be able to win. So we're assuming he's gonna play something right. So he's got like 23 to our 15 after you factor in the Mojo. The Surfer is gonna pump twice. And so that's 12. It'll be like 23 to our 27. But we're probably just gonna win mid and left, right? Is he gonna be able to play 3 things in Mojo Worlds and something right? I don't know. Maybe we'll lose somehow, because I can't really tell like what his last play is gonna be. But it looks like a pretty good spot for us. I don't see how he can win 2 lanes. I think he can win 1, but I don't see how he's gonna win 2. Okay, so he just retreated. All right, so yeah, hopefully you got an idea of how the deck works. You could kind of see the combos, right? The Wong Forge, the Wong Surfer. Here we didn't have too many 3-drops. You know, we just had Zabu and Killmonger. but sometimes that's good enough. So I hope you like the deck, and thanks for watching.